Hi folks, this is Jay. Hope you're okay today. It's good to see you. Hope everybody's okay. I just want to tell you about the shame of dprjones. Now, dprjones is a big time atheist on YouTube, and I made a few videos about him. And if you want to watch some other videos, what I've said about dprjones, you can find them on another channel called Jason Burns. There's a couple around called A Breach of Trust by dprjones and dprjones and the KGB. So this controversy, if you want the full info, you can get those videos, and there's another video on this channel. But basically, this guy sets himself up running the Magic Sandwich Show, which I'm delighted to announce has become a little bit nicer this week, which is good, because normally they're quite aggressive. They outnumber the Christians on their shows and their attitude stinks, but basically they seem to have changed this week radically, so I'm glad they've listened to my advice. But anyhow, basically these atheists keep attacking me, keep saying that I've got mental issues and all this, but the reason why they're doing that is because they've been exposed, and dprjones has been totally, utterly exposed. And you know, he's ashamed. He's completely ashamed of what he's done, and he should be ashamed of what he's done, because he presents himself to be this eminent intellectual on the Magic Sandwich Show. But he rang me on Skype. He contacted me on Skype, and he talked to me on Skype, and he was asking me about neuroscience. Okay, neuroscience. And unbeknown to me, he had negation of P listening in and checking what I was saying, because I was noting scholars and whatever. Then dprjones goes on the Skeptic Fence, and on that show says I didn't bring any citation for neuroscience apart from Dr. Robbie, failing to let them know that I mentioned that why the reason was the case, failing to mention that I had stacks of notes and scholars that I had given. I quoted a couple of them to him, and also that the neuroscience was backed up by my reading of psychology for a number of years, and also I had a number of other atheist scholars that I could call on who had written on neuroscience, such as Dennett and Sam Harris and Nagal. He never mentioned this on the Skeptic Fence. And then he has cheap shots where he calls me a retard, where negation of P says I have mental issues, which he would have got from my personal information that I told dprjones, right? But the point is this: these people regard themselves as intellectuals, right? The clever people. But notice on the Skeptic Fence, when he was doing that, notice also that the end bit of the show is not around at the present time. You know, I mean, I hope they do put it on, but it's not on Live Life Show. They've not put the last bit of that show up. That's how crafty these atheists are. But anyhow, the thing is, dprjones never actually, he debunked me and said neuroscience Jason was saying was a load of rubbish. Okay, not exact words, I think he said a load of crap or something like that. But hey, does he tell us why the neuroscience wasn't right? No. Did negation of P tell us why the neuroscience was right? No. What they did is go into personal attack upon me. So you should be ashamed of going on the Magic Sandwich Show if this guy is conducting himself like that. And the Skeptic Fence. They can change their tactics now because they've been criticised, trying to be nicey with people. But they've been exposed for the bunch of liars that they are, and the shenanigans that they got up to in private. That guy, dprjones, came and talked to me on Skype, asking me about neuroscience, and I thought he was talking to me about neuroscience, but he was spying on me, and Negation of P was spying on me, trying to find out things about trying to expose me about neuroscience, when at the end of the day they were not interested in neuroscience. And it's just ridiculous. And at the end of the day, I knew what I was talking about. They've not offered any critique of my neuroscience thoughts that I had. They didn't give the context of what I said about neuroscience on the Skype, and it's all nonsense. So why do they descend to this nonsense? Why don't they have proper academic debates and discussion? Why do they do that? I tell you why, is because they don't like the fact that I can stand up for the faith, biblically, theologically, defend the faith. And rather than actually engage with me, they have to try and attack my character and attack me as a person. I spent 30 to 40 hours in preparation for a debate with Negation of P. I brought evidence to bear. Negation of P didn't bring any evidence to the debate whatsoever. And dprjones has the cheek to try and mock me and call me a retard when I am the only one who came with evidence, and I'm the one who conducted himself in a professional way. Those two didn't even show their face on the show. I showed my face. They didn't even show their face. That's how cowardly they are. Okay? So the shame of dprjones is that he presents himself as some kind of BBC correspondent intellectual, but at the end of the day he got involved in shenanigans, backdealing, nonsense, spying, trying to corner someone and expose someone, but do it in a way that was not honest, having someone in the background listening in and whatever, and not informing the person you're talking to that you've done that. Is just a nonsense. It's just a nonsense. And then I look at my Skype, and bits of the Skype that we had conversation and I mentioned has disappeared. Now I don't know how that's happened. I don't know how it's happened, but that's the kind of thing that happens when you get involved with atheism. So all I'm saying is, all I'm asking is, you know, instead of pretending to be these intellectuals, pretending to be friends with Christians, but you're trying to expose Christians, instead of doing that, Mr. Jones, have proper academic debate. So I challenge you to an academic debate, me and you, one-on-one, and let's do it as friends, let's do it as equals, let's do it and put aside this kind of nonsense, and let's do things in a professional way. Okay? If you're not willing to do that, Mr. Jones, then all that you're doing on the Magic Sandwich Show is a farce, because we have seen, you can present yourself on that show, but behind the scenes you get up to things that you shouldn't be getting up to, talking to a Christian apologist, pretending to want to talk about neuroscience, but in the end you had someone in the background listening, watching what we were saying and checking everything we were saying, without informing the person who you were talking to what you were doing. Is not right, Mr. Jones. And you should not be going around on Magic Sandwich Show presenting yourself as some kind of honest intellectual if you are not willing to conduct yourselves in the right way. So I'm asking, Mr. Jones, for a public apology and an academic debate from you. And if you fail to provide a public apology and you fail to provide an academic debate, then you can go on the Magic Sandwich Show, but at the end of the day you should be ashamed. You've been found out, you've been exposed, you're not intellectual, you're a shallow man doing shallow things behind the scenes. Okay? So that's the challenge to you, dprjones.